speaker about the Northern Lights project, experiences, challenges, and opportunities of CCS. Oh, he's there already. Hi.
Hi.
I went to Oslo, I think 2-3 years ago for Studio Energie to have an interview with, maybe it's your predecessor, Stephen Bull.
Yeah, I know him, but he's
he
was on the wind.
Okay, it was about the Northern Lights project. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give him a big hand. Martijn Smit.
Dankjewel Remco. Goedemiddag dames en heren. Good afternoon. I'm a Dutch national. I've worked the last 16 years for the Norwegians, a Norwegian company. It's extra special for me to be here in the Netherlands to represent the Norwegian project. Northern Lights is a open access CO2 project based on the ship-based solution. It's at industry scale, and it's a public-private partnership to kickstart the industry. So it's really what all the previous speakers have been talking about, governmental frameworks. This is really to put actions to the theory and to show that it's possible and to pave the way also for others to follow. This was our site in Norway. This is phase 1, 80% funded by the Norwegian government. And you see we are basically on site, largely ready. The jetty is already constructed. There's a big visitor center. There's a Dutch company currently drilling to have the export pipeline ready to the offshore storage. We are building on 25 years of Norwegian experience in storage. And all the technology as such is not new, but the whole value chain needs to be proven. That is the wrong direction. And being Dutch, knowing the Dutch setting and the Norwegian setting, I do want to flag there's a lot of similarities, but the mindset in Norway is slightly different in the sense that the Norwegian fuel mix is largely green. The waterfalls, all the power comes from a green source. While the Netherlands, CCS is often referred to as a temporary solution for decarbonization. For Norway, this is really a new business for the future. Secondly, the way we're currently working is that this is all new infrastructure. It's not old reuse of old infrastructure, it's new dedicated infrastructure. It's a dedicated license. There was no previous oil and gas production. And that means that it's costly to prepare and to start, but that's where Norway currently is. This gives you the setting. There is a lot of oil and gas production in the area, but not within our license, so we don't have any seal integrity issues as such. And then we have this saline aquifer rather than oil and gas. FID was taken last year, December. Last year, January, we started construction, and since then it has been really overwhelming what we fueled and triggered, because with the Norwegian state support, we really broke the chicken and the egg. You know, there was foresight of a sink, and a lot of industrials in Europe that have been asking for sinks, and they have no technical solution. They saw a sink, and that created a lot of capture projects to start developing their plans towards 2030 and beyond. At the same time, in the last year, we witnessed huge interest from negative emissions. As the EU previously presented, bio-CCS, biofuels, and also direct air capture, without storage, there will not be any negative emissions related to that. So that is a new business, particularly also across the fence where we have our storage. So a new business is generated on the back of a storage site. And it goes beyond our local location, but across Europe. So in that, we contribute to this new industry. I think from the previous speakers, we are really, also through our PCI registration, we're really putting CCS on the political agenda across Europe. It's a topic for international discussions, collaborations, and it's bridging some of the climate discussions across countries, I would say. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Currently, emitting is way cheaper than storing. This is why there is a public-private partnership. We are bridging it. EU has put money on the table, as the previous speaker clearly provided. It's a huge help. still means that a large chunk needs to be paid for privately. I think the next month will show us where we land, because for Northern Lights, the next month I think are really critical to deliver on our growth plans. And then a very important last point. All these points, by the way, are key targets for the public funding of Northern Lights. Demonstrate CCS is feasible, safe. I can only say so far so good. We are in constructions, so far so good. But the operational period will be critical to demonstrate and to deliver on that promise. To substantiate, and a lot of these slides actually fit are the pictures related to what Mr. Vic, as State Secretary, was talking about, is that our renewal of the PCI in Europe doubled in size on the emitter side last year, on the emitter side, also on the storage side, actually. We received funding last year, and in our community alone, by 2030, there's more than 32 million tons of captured volumes that can be stored. So that makes us in Northern Lights really humble, because we are only constructing 1.5 in the public-private partnership, and we're seeking to expand to 5. So from Northern Lights' perspective, also to the government officials here, there's really a challenge to establishing enough storage space in the near future. I think other speakers also addressed on the customer segments. I think Northern Lights clearly advocates and is on a mission to reach climate goals, to make sure by 2050 we will also stay below the 2, but on 1.5, so realizing negative emissions. And we're going to accelerate, facilitate the energy transition. We don't want to stop it, we want to block it. I think NGOs in the Netherlands, there is fear for locking in fossil fuels and carbon. That is not the intention of our CCS project. Yeah, that's on this picture and on these 32 million tons. I just wanted to add that there's no growth in blue hydrogen included in that at all. And there's only few bio-CCS projects. So if that market growth, and as the EU showed in their picture, by 2050, there's 300 million tons of storage needed to realize negative emissions. So storage is a bottleneck at the moment. A lot of detail on this slide. Has a lot of information on the. It seems to be a bit moved. The dark purple is the public-private partnership that we currently have for phase 1. So the Norwegian government participates on the offshore part, which is scaled up to 5 million. The lighter pink part is the next investment, and that's an investment decision we are preparing for the end of this year, early next year. So that is additional ships, injection pumps, extra storage locally in the onshore in Norway, and mainly activity offshore, additional injection wells. There's a private funding, and that needs to be backed by a sustainable business model. So there needs to be there's a cost to it, and there needs to be a revenue next to it. If we take that decision in time, end of this year, early next year, we would be operational early 2026. And that is clearly, as business development director, my mission to make sure we have customers to facilitate that decision. Then this is some lessons learned. People who have a background in natural gas, the triangle comes back on the policy dimensions, sustainability, affordable, and security of supply. So I stole that a little bit, but I think these are the key success factors, in my view. Reliable and safe is the operational period. If any storage provider anywhere in the world has a challenge with CO2 storage, it will come back to us. I received questions earlier this year about what happened in Australia, when there was some media coverage on CO2 in Australia being stored. Reliability, safety, it goes without saying, it's key. I think our industry is good at it, but we need to make sure we deliver on that. Marketable and acceptable is the political and the public dimension. Without a regulatory framework, it will not work. And there's a lot of, the governments are working on this, and we have heard that they seek to facilitate it. Acceptable, we should not all be very happy in this room and accept that this is the public accepts CCS as such. I think it's continuous. We need to work it continuously. We need to listen. We need to be aware. And we saw it in COVID, also on the CCS. Different countries have different perspectives, and we need to address them. I think with the negative emissions that we need and the direct air capture technologies, I think that's where we can anchor, and there is a role to play for CCS. But the industry needs to, the energy transition needs to happen. Profitable and affordable, it needs to be a business in itself. So that is where we need to bridge a gap. That is currently where the proof of the pudding is, and where in the next month we need to seek to succeed. With the public funding, I'm confident we can do it, but still the investments are significant, and there's a mental thing to it. First movers take a risk, and it takes courage to be that first mover. The left side, long list, I'll leave that to Remco for the round and the panel discussion, but there's a lot of firsts, and we are learning while we're doing. I must maybe to flag mindset, our oil and gas companies entering into a new business, the loopholes you need to jump to internally in terms of QC are very narrow and very many, and there's things that need to happen at all fronts on this new endeavor. Yeah, and this is still a little bit an elephant in the room maybe, but I can confirm from Northern Lights perspective, we see most traction and most action in those countries where it's not only ETS, but it's actually CO2 on top of ETS. That's where people start moving. That's where things start happening, and this is great help. ETS prices were up, but there's also a lot of industry still sitting on free quotas, and so this is one item to bridge the gap between affordable and profitable. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
Martijn, one question.
One question.
I'm wearing my reading glasses, so I couldn't watch your last slide exactly. But one question, maybe it was on the slide. No, it's okay. You said before, emitting is cheaper than storing. We have an ETS price now of about 80 euros for a couple of weeks, couple of months already. How cheap or how expensive is it to store?
That is the 1 billion question.
And you know the answer.
And the answer is partly depends on your shipping solution. But I think what is public is that the Norwegian customers that are supported by the Norwegian government, they pay about 64 euro per ton.
The subsidy?
The Norwegian storage cement factory, and then they're around that.
They pay about 64.
About 64, yes.
So with an ETS price of 80.
Yeah, but the ETS price also covers the capture part. So you are grosso modo 60 to 90, depending on your shipping distance, ship size. That's where you currently are. And I think we have, as Northern Lights in the past, have always indicated 35, 55 as a cost level towards 2030.
But it's a business. So
but then it's not a business. Then it's not a business. So
okay. Thank you very much.
That's where I need to move.
Martijn.